Distinguished guests, members of the audience, ladies and gentlemen, very good morning to all of you. It's my pleasure to be here today, and my heartfelt congratulations and thanks to AIMA for successfully organizing this Innovation Practitioner Summit, 7th time in the running. It's indeed a great platform for knowledge sharing, deliberations, discussions, and for this very, very pertinent subject on technology-led innovation. When we talk about technology-led innovation, to my mind, I read it in three different aspects. We talk about technology, we talk about innovation, and we talk about the deadly combination. When it comes to technology, technology has never been so strategic, so fundamental, so important as it is in today's digital age. We have heard this saying, this quote, many a times, that change is the only constant. It's been true for decades, centuries, millenniums. Changes have been happening. But what really matters today is not the change, but the speed at which the change is taking place. And that's why it is called many a times now, not a change, but a disruption. More interestingly, when we talk about technology, it's become a synonymous with digital technology. When we used to talk about technologies a decade back or 3 decades back or 5 decades back, technology had a completely different definition. There was mechanical technology, there was electrical technology, with all the innovation that kept on happening across centuries, technology also kept on changing its definition. With digital coming into it, we don't talk about technology other than digital technology today. And with advent of digital technologies, the speed of that change has become so fast that probably in the 17 years of this 21st century, we have seen more transformation, more innovation than we have seen in the entire 20th century. It's actually become imperative of all businesses, for all businesses, however small, big, medium they are, that technology-led innovation, technology-led transformation is happening across. It's so omnipresent that whether it's size of the business or it is the sector in which you are operating, technology-led innovation is happening and will continue to happen. It's not a prerogative or a right or a responsibility of only a large organization, which used to be the case earlier, who used to lead the research and innovations and come up with new product, but every smallest of the business is getting hit by technology-led innovation. And just on a very extreme example, even a panwala shop in a corner who probably used to go down to the market to buy all the stuff to make the pan is probably ordering them on his cell phone. So that's, for him, the supply chain has also now technology-led rather than he just doing things manually. I mean, right now we don't make pan digitally, but I'm sure in 10 years down the road that technology will also come in. Also the sector, as far as sectors are concerned, we used to believe that technology is about manufacturing. Technology is about product, but it's become far more pertinent, it's become far more visible in non-product areas. Be it traveling, be it telecommunication, banking. There's great examples of where technology-led innovation has changed the world. I mean, I even look at the retail business. 2-3 decades back, any retail industry, the technology was probably restricted to manufacturing, that what new products you're coming up, how you are innovating on the product. But today, not only the production technology, but also how then the goods are moving from the factory to the marketplace is all digitally innovated. How the channels are being used, how the products are being sold to the customer, how the entire customer experience concept which has come into the retail industry is mind-boggling. I mean, I'm sure none of you, at least not me, could have visualized just about a decade and a half back that I can sit back at home and order not only a frame but lens also, just sitting at home. This is almost it was impossible to visualize such a thing. So that's the technology. When it comes to innovation, again, when we think about innovation, we generally think about inventions and products, new products and new technological driven products. We think of televisions, planes, computers, cell phone, etc. And there is a whole lot of list. Every product is technology driven, and all of them are making tremendous effect in our life throughout. But what is the new definition of innovation is not only the invention of the product, it is also how we are using technology in processes, in designing, in supply chain. That's also is a new definition of innovation which was not there earlier. So now when both of them put together, is creating huge disruption across the world. Just about 2 decades back, close of the 20th century, there was no World Wide Web, there was no .coms, there was no cell phones, there was no nanotubes. But today, I'm sure in this room, if I multiply the number of cell phones by or if I compare the number of cell phones with number of people, if it is not 2 times, I'm sure it would be at least 1.5 times. Everybody carrying the mobile phone in the pocket, and therefore you're also carrying the www World Wide Web in your pocket, and you can. And I'm sure half of you would have used the Google map before you started from home to reach this place, to even estimate how long will it take to reach here, and 10 minutes more contingency before you started from home. So it's all happening. So both as a cause and consequence, it's become inevitable for people, organization, and even as a nation to continue to innovate. Now with that, if we were to look at few trends which are happening, first is disruption is happening because of technology-led innovation. As I said earlier, is the speed of change that is making the difference rather than the change itself. It's a very funny example I can give you. When I visited the Netherlands a few years back as a tourist, and we were taken to a place off Amsterdam to show us how the windmill worked and how a sawmill was being run on the wind power. I got into a conversation with the owner of that place, and I got to know that that place was set up about 80 years back. And 80 years back, when they set it up, before that they used to cut the wood using kulhadis and saw and everything manually. And when this technology came in, it was called state-of-the-art technology in 1920, right? And 80 years down the road, it is completely unviable. The only usage of that windmill is as a tourist spot. and the owner is making money because many more tourists are visiting that place. Not that state-of-art technology has become a tourist spot in such a short time. From India's own perspective, this technology-led innovation is very, very critical because we have a huge population, almost 20% of the world live in India, and the economic and social growth will not be inclusive if we are not inducting the technology and technology-led innovation. So, number one, the disruption is happening, and disruption is not only changing the products, but also the supply chain and the entire business model in whichever sector we are in. And one of the biggest disruption we have seen amongst other industries is our own banking and finance industry. How quickly we have moved from a branch-based banking to ATM-based banking to an online-based banking to mobile-based banking, and I don't know what would be the next one. I don't know the answer, but I'm sure in 3 to 5 years' time, there would be another channel of banking, which we don't know right now, but we will surely get to that. So much of change has happened. If imagine even our public sector bank, with due respect to them, have started adopting technology. And actually now they're leapfrogging. The adoption of technology, which was more restricted to private sector banks, has created so much disruption that banks like SBI and PNB are actually leapfrogging to take that jump. SBI is already in process of adopting biometrics recognition for all their employees, and they will be adopting this technology on 21,000 places they kind of operate, which is a huge change. And it's the same bank where I remember 1994, I had gone to Ncash a check in their South X branch, and I reached there by 12 o'clock, waited for my turn to come, and by the time I could deposit the check, get a token, could see the file moving on the back from one table to another, where they had to, somebody had to compare the signature on the check with the manual register on which the specimen signatures were there, and kind of manually look at it to say, yeah, signatures are matching or not. And by the time it could come to the teller, it was 1 o'clock, and I was asked to come the very next day to collect my money, carry my token back home, and went there to collect next day. Today, I won't even operate with such a bank, and today I don't even go to the branch. I don't know how many times you have visited your branch. I have visited my bank branch only once at the time of demonetization, when I had to go and collect my 2,000 rupees. Otherwise, never before and never after I've been to bank. I have almost stopped going to ATM. Sometimes still we need to go because there are still some payments which are made in cash, and therefore you need to withdraw once in a while. And that too, I don't go to the ATM. The ATM machine is right there in our office. I just can walk out of my cabin, withdraw some cash and come back. And I'm sure that will also disappear because everything will be some plastic-based payment, whether we call it credit card or we call it chip card or whatever we call it. I'm sure we will just tap it and payment will be done. And maybe we'll move to a technology where we will just buy things and it would automatically, based on Google Map, Google Locality, and a whole lot of other technology, which would be already taken care of. That's one big trend which is happening because of and for technology-led transformation. The other thing, as I said, is not about a small, big, or medium kind of business. It is across. Today, a low-cost, technology-powered business models are challenging the old and big. It's not a property of a big house anymore to be technology-driven. Startups are great examples of somebody sitting in a garage can develop a technology which can which can challenge a 70-year, 80-year, 100-year-old big houses. Most interesting trend which is coming out is boundaries are getting redefined as far as industries are concerned. We used to have this concept of think within the box. Then we said think outside the box, out of the box, and then we say no, go out of the box and think outside the box. But in today's world, there is no box anymore. If you look at the competition springing up from unrelated industries, you don't even know where your next competition will come from. And look at the examples of, a very small example of watch industry, the alarm clock industry. I don't think they could have ever imagined that a cell phone will make alarm clock completely redundant. I have not bought an alarm clock for last 5 years. I'm not sure how many of you have actually gone. Except for now the jewelry value of the watch, you're not wearing a watch for looking at the time. You look at your time on your cell phone. I mean, watch is just more like a jewelry value. Right? But you look at even, I often compare Uber, Ola to the taxi business. A decade and a half back, when any operator who had 20, 30, 40 cars, the KPIs to measure how big you are in the cab business is how many cars you have, how many drivers you have, how many parking space you have, and the technology innovation means that whether you are driving a petrol car or a diesel car or a CNG car, but nobody ever thought somebody not owning a single car will compete with the taxi business and will make taxi business, really look small, because now we are talking about combining the force of 1 lakh cab drivers together. That's a huge example. And latest, which is happening, which has not fully happened yet, is television. Not television as a product, but television as a channel. The contents are there. Production is happening, but are you watching it on television or are you watching it on your mobile? The one good part on the lighter note is that the fight for remote control in my home at least is over. The television is now available for me for news channel and sports. She's watching all her things on the cell phone. So at least that's a good part. But moving away from television to your handheld device is a change which is taking place right now. And I'm not sure if 5 years down the road we will have something called television in our home. Another trend which I would like to highlight is the technology-led transformation is happening in those highest of areas. When I say it, I mean from the knowledge perspective. Gone are the days when we used to talk about that it is a process-driven, the low-end processes which will be heard by technology or which will be improved by technology in positive sense. But even the highest knowledge segment, which we probably couldn't have imagined a few years back, is being threatened by technology. And one example I often use is, imagine the best oncologist in the world, who probably is expensive, is experienced, is knowledgeable, because that doctor has seen hundreds of cancer cases, and cancer being a so complex subject that the experience of having seen the number of cases which the doctor has seen gives him or her the experience and knowledge. But today, IBM Watson, with combining the knowledge of hundreds and thousands of such doctors and putting into that machine, is actually challenging the most knowledge-based industry. And human beings are completely challenged on their knowledge. So the movement from being ability to diagnose, prognose, will move to say, how do I use the machine and make more accurate decision? Last thing is that it is not any particular industry phenomena and not a particular country phenomena. It is happening worldwide. In US has been a leader as far as technology innovations are concerned. Whether it's artificial intelligence, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it is robotics, whether it's cognitive, some of these terms which we had not heard a few years back are coming up, and US has been leading it. Of course, followed by Singapore, South Africa, China, Australia, and India as well. The expected spend on cognitive technology by 2020 is $46 billion, and which is almost like a 50% plus CAGR in the 3-year terms. So all these trends are actually leading to technology, which was a competitive advantage earlier, is actually becoming, adoption of technology is becoming source for survival. It's not that in earlier time when people developed a newer technology, a newer product, it gives them that edge that they could capitalize on out there in the market. But today, if you do not adopt technology, you would not survive. And again, a very cliched example I can give. A market leader in cell phone, Nokia, was almost at the verge of extinction simply because they did not continue to innovate their operating system. I mean, the likes of Samsung and iPhone really made Nokia completely disappeared from the market. I mean, fortunately, they did survive. Another example I can give is the camera rolls, the films. Not long back, we used to have that roll, and we used to compete whether we can get 33 pictures out of 36 or we can get 34 out of 36. Today, that film industry has disappeared. Most of us who are not very professional photographers, we now rely on actually our cell phone to click pictures, and most of the cell phones give a damn good result as far as photography is concerned. Even those die-hard professional photographers, they are not using the film at least. They are using their SLRs, but they are using digital SLRs. So that role has disappeared from the world, and that's because that again innovation did not happen in that particular company. So before I move on, I would say that from India perspective, I think 2 or 3 things which do bothers me and which would be need of the hours. Unlike US, we do not have many education institutions where research is happening regularly. If I look at the education industry in the US, one, it is a very structured, well-recognized, advanced education system which they have. In almost every city will have a university. And the sheer atmosphere over there is creating every professor, every teacher, every student to become part of the research, some research work or the other. We do a lot of research work in India, but if we compare to the population we have, I think we are still far away from where we need to be. And second step towards going towards that, creating that research is public, private, and academia understanding and collaboration, which would be required. And of course, the legal nuances are high in India, therefore a strong legal structure to protect that innovations and technology would be required. A huge framework will be required. Judicial system need to be corrected to ensure that there are no copies. We don't want to be, again, with due respect, we don't want to be another China. If a technology, if an innovation has been done, we want to be We want to respect that innovation and give credit, recognition, reward to the person who have done it rather than copying it. A great journey has started on the aspect of commercializing those research and innovation. A few trends which have come up where the seed capital, the angel investors, those Shark Tank kind of things are happening in India. But this is still a long way we need to go. The government has recognized this factor very well and also creating policies and initiatives like Startup India, like Digital India, like Skilling India, like Make in India. A lot of incubation centers are being opened across the country, but we have still a long way to go. And creation, application, commercialization, and protection are the four things as far as technology-led innovations are concerned, where India needs to do a lot of work before we can be at the forefront as far as innovation is concerned in the world. To summarize, let me say, I don't know who said it, but I've read somewhere that disruption is going to happen to you or because of you. So therefore, this technology-led innovation journey has just begun. In last 2 decades, we have seen so many changes. I can't even predict, visualize what will happen in next 2 to 3 decades, but it's going to continue. With that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, and I wish you a good day, and I'm sure the discourse during the day will be meaningful and fruitful for everyone who is in the room. Thank you very much.